Welcome to the Chat Box. I'm Emily Regalado, and this is my co-host,
Hannah Algie.
Let's dive into the wonderful world of books. So we're here to bring you a weekly book club experience. Every week we will dive into one book we have read and a surprise book series highlight.
This week we are doing things a little differently. We have a special guest, Maddie Leonard, here to discuss one surprise book series in depth.
So basically this week's series is the Court of Thorn and Roses series, better known as the ACOTAR series.
So Maddie Leonard is a senior at UNF and has recently completed reading the entire series. We're going to get her insight as an avid reader. We have dialed in Maddie. Can you give us the basic rundown on the series?
Yeah, so the first three books are kind of in the point of view of Feyre, who is your main female character throughout the whole thing. She starts out as a human, and then you see her delve into the fairy world. And then the second book is a multi-point of view book for all of the characters, basically, so you get to see just more point of views than just Feyre's. The last book in the series at this point is her sister Nesta's point of view, and there's rumors that there are more books to come that are going to be in the third sister's point of view as well.
So kind of what type of genre is this book about? What does it specifically get into?
Yeah, so it's considered a fantasy in the fantasy genre, but I consider it more of a romantic fantasy. So it's more along the lines of character development, who falls for who. So I would say it's more of a romance than into the fantastical elements.
Nice. So what were some of your favorite and least favorite things of the series?
Yeah, I like the characters a lot. There was some that you really loved, there was some that you really hated. The character growth was really cool throughout the whole series. I think that was probably my favorite thing. Some of them do get a little long and a little into politics and heavy into politics, so if that's not your thing, you might get a little frustrated at that. In the third book, I was kind of getting frustrated at that, but I definitely pushed through and it was worth it.
Are there any other cons you had when reading the books, besides the maybe the heavy politics?
There were some I wouldn't say gap holes in the plot at all, but I would say that there was always a convenient fix to things. Oh, there was a massive issue happening, but oh wait, here's this magical item that you've never talked about before or we've never discussed before, and it comes and fixes everything. But if you're into books that don't have big consequences or a lot of death necessarily, these are the books for you.
Nice. So I've actually never read these books, so it's very interesting to hear more about what they're about, and I had no idea it had anything to do with politics at some point, so it's interesting. You've read them though, right, Emily?
So yeah, right now I'm on A Court of Silver Flames, which is the last book in the series, and that's the one that's told from a different point of view of one of the sisters. So yeah, so far I've really liked the series. My least favorite book has been the smallest book, which is A Court of Frost and Starlight, and basically A Court of Frost and Starlight is kind of how would you describe it, Maddie? A novella to the book series?
Yeah, it's the holiday special. It's when you watch a TV show and there's a 20-minute one and it's just oh fun, everybody's getting together for the holidays. But I would say it has a little bit of importance to the last book, so it's still one you should read, but it's not necessarily a plot-heavy book.
Nice. So which book was your favorite, Maddie?
Ooh, I really liked A Court of Silver Flames. That's just because I really like Nesta. I feel I can identify with her a little bit in some ways. And you kind of have to get to the last book with her to realize her point of view and her perspective on things. But I really just came to love that character and who she ends up with.
I think we should maybe talk a little bit about the popular culture around this book series.
Yeah, this book series has gone really popular on TikTok, and I think that's what's gotten a lot of people to read it. The one thing I've seen all over my TikTok is how to pronounce one of the characters' names. So what is it? It's Rhysand and Rysand or something?
Rhysand, that's his, Rhysand or Rysand, that's what people tend to call him. But Maddie, what do you call him, and what does the author kind of call him?
Yeah, so I call him Rysand. In the last book, I think it is, people have pointed out that there is a list of the characters' names and how to pronounce them, and it should be Rhysand. That's how the author pronounces it, but I don't know, I just feel Rysand fits better. His nickname is Rise throughout the book, and I just think that works for him.
Okay, and we saw that Sarah J. Maas met with, who was it again?
Met with Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, and I have no idea why that matters. I have no clue anything about this series.
It was all over TikTok.
Yeah,
though.
so what is all that about?
Yeah, so we fans have known for a while that this book series is going to be turned into a film, movie, TV series. We don't know what it is yet, but people have been speculating that Margot Robbie might be producing this movie because Margot Robbie has talked about the fact that she doesn't want to act for a little bit. She wants to take a break and just wants to produce. So it's a big deal if you have an A-list star like that, kind of backing a project like this, producing it. It means that we're probably going to get a higher quality of production, better actors. So it's exciting for fans.
Okay, that's super cool. And like, I know that Sarah J. Maas is the author. She has more than just a Court of Thorn and Roses series. Are there any other series you would recommend or you want to read, or what about those series?
Yeah, so she is most famous for, well, I wouldn't say that now because this is probably her most famous series, but before this it was the Throne of Glass series, which is a little less heavy on the romantic side of things and is a little more fantasy heavy if you're into that. And she also has a series that is still kind of coming out right now called Crescent City, and that is still a fantasy series, but it's kind of rooted more in modern times. Like, they have cell phones, they can access more modern technology, so if you're kind of more into that, I would say it's slightly dystopian. If you're into that vibe, they'd be really good for you.
That's super cool. I'm going to have to get into reading those. And you have to get into reading Court of Thorn and Roses.
I know, I need to start this series.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maddie, for joining us and telling us a little bit about the series.
That's all for this week's edition of the Book Club. We'll leave you to your reading. I'm Emily Regalado.
And I'm Hannah Algi, and we'll see you next time on the Chat Box.